Now, some of the first few questions, if you meet a girl, right, and you're trying to get to know them, and it's on the street or in the mall, you're supposed to ask them, right, and you know they act like they want to be at least friends, as their name, their age, right, where they're from, right, and you know what grade they're in or what level of education they have, right. That's what I was taught in high school, idiot, to ask, right? Why? Because of underage girls. Why? Because of underage girls. Exactly. It don't matter, right? If the woman looks older, younger, whatever, you're supposed to ask those four questions if you're just meeting someone and trying to get to know them. Now, they can say something like, well, I live in Savannah, or I live in this area or that area, and they ain't even got to give you their actual street address or anything when you first meet them, but you're just trying to see if they're from the area you're from, right? Right. Now, these are things you learned in high school. Now, like I told you about ID only becomes involved if the girl wants sex or something, right? And that's not necessarily going to be on the menu the first time you meet her, right? Right. Unless, again, there's someone like the women I ran into who acted like they wanted sex with me, right? And asked me to, work it out to be with them. And we did. And we had sex, right? Now, it was in either their apartment, a motel room, or a hotel room, or my car, right? Or their truck, right? Or their van down by the electric company. I know. Where we were kind of isolated and no one was really around, right? Us. Exactly. And it's not like it's the person's first merry-go-round either, or mine. By that point, right? I'm just, again, being with women as they're acting like they want to be with a man in modern dating today, right? Which the Bible does care about and deal with, right? But the problem is you're confusing Old Testament and New Testament, as could of the Apostle Paul. See, the problem is if Jesus only had the Old Testament, right, he could even have concubines and not be legally married to them, right? See. That's a different kind of contract, I guess, right? I know. And the reason I say that is Isaiah 4:1 talks of 7 women taking hold of one man, saying, we'll eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Which that alludes to taking on his name, which has to do with Yeshua or Yahushua. And the reproach could be having a child and at least having a daughter with Yeshua. If not a son. For whatever reasons, Jesus was allowed to do this by grace, right? The same grace, right, Paul is trying to tell the church under in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, right? Now, he's talking to fathers concerning giving their daughters in marriage, period. Though Moses talks about what to do if your daughter does have premarital sex, right? Her beau is to come to the dad and ask permission to marry her, right? Right, that's all it says. It don't say you can't have premarital sex, right? It only says if you do, you ask her father's hand in marriage, she's unbetrothed already. Now, this is in biblical times where they would stone your butt too for adultery, even if it's during an engagement period, which usually lasted a year, like with Mary and Joseph. And then you get married after that year. Right. Now, the implication, though, is you're saying somehow Mary got pregnant without the man or without Joseph. Right? There we go. There's only one way that can happen, an immaculate conception involving the angels, right? And one of the angels becoming Jesus, right? Perhaps that way too. I know. Right. Or Mary was something called a hermaphrodite. Now, doctors don't know a lot about hermaphroditism today, as it was hardly known in the past either. No one really talks about it or understands it medically, like being born male or female. There's a lot of confusion around it, right? One, you don't know where the gene came from unless it came from the angels you see in Genesis chapter 6, right? Which is possible, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. See, that gene has to be introduced sexually apart from male or female reproduction, right? That means the being that had sex with the male or females, right, who have the gene now, right, were hybrids, meaning they were half human and half angelic, right? So the way that could work is they could be 3 X's, right? Even 2 X's from the angel and an X from the mother, right? Or XY X, right? Or if the angel got pregnant itself, right, by a male, right, it could be XXY, right? All kind of weird collaborations with a true hermaphrodite could be done, right? But that would also explain why it's lesser known and lesser in the gene pool today, but it can only get there if the angels were also androgynous, right? Does that make some sense, right? Exactly. Now, I'm not sure if the angelic egg could be XY or XX either. I'm not sure how that would work, right? Because, see, unlike a female, right, and the sperm could be XX or XY. You might can have up to 4 X's, I guess. I don't know. Right. With one child. If you get, if you understand what I mean. Right. Because, see, if angels were to meet, for example, right, you could have up to 4 X's and an XYXX, right? Or an XO, right? Which are some of the genes found in true hermaphrodites, right? Now, we're all struggling here with our own identities and who to listen to, right? Now, the best thing to do if you're not sure of something is get permission or make sure it's okay to do it, right? First. Right. Then you're better off, right? But if people aren't cool with it, it's better to be careful how you do it, than try to make people accept you, right? Which tends to backfire sometimes, right? That's all I'm saying, right? Now, I was taught that no matter what the sin is, there's nothing you can do if you don't really know about it or can't control the person anyway, right? if someone's trans or someone's dressing up like a woman or trying to be female, right? That's up to them, right? And usually you can tell if they are, right? It's not hard to tell a trans male from a real female or male. Though I try to look at no one I meet for the first time sexually, right? I try to look at them as more asexually, right? That's what I mean too, right? I don't know you yet. I'm not taught to hop in bed with a woman unless the woman makes the first move in that direction, right? And then you can, right? But you are the male seeking the female. And it's up to the female if she wants to be with you or not. Now, most of the time it seemed like I was just having a little hanky panky on the side. Anyway. I don't know. And that's all I really know about it, right? Right. And of course, if it's hanky panky, you move on, and then, you don't really commit until someone commits to you, right? Equally. That's kind of what I was hoping was going on with my ex-wife, but it turned out she left me stranded in Tennessee before she picked up her daughter. That seemed to me like she only wanted her daughter, and not really so much as a relationship with me as I went through the divorce proceedings, right? After that, and moved back to base anyway. I was on base for over a year before, though I fell within 2 weeks of moving back. 2 to 3 weeks, somewhere in there. So it's all happening back then all at once, right? What happened between me and my ex-wife, right? And I'm telling it kind of like an autobiography of someone who thinks they have a religious message from God, right? Uh-oh. You can't control that. You can't control that. I know. If you legally married me, I have a right to disclose that to my public, right? That I have a wife, or had a wife. Yeah, I do. I know. You can't bar me from releasing that information, no. Not simply by citing, I don't want my name used in your book or on your videos, right? That's not enough. That's not enough. I can tell people legally who I married and what her name was, right? Right, in an autobiography type way, right? Yes, you can. Yes, I can. Even those who just had sex with me, right? You know the women David was with, right? Right. What are some of their names? Abigail, Bathsheba, right? Well, at least 2 names, huh? Right off the top of the bat. Not talking about a person's real name, Abigail, or again, there's an upcoming vampire flick called Abigail, where a young girl is playing Abigail, a vampire-ish girl. I've seen the trailers for that. But like all movies, right, it's based on both mythology and, right, a real name. Now, Dracula was a real person. No. That's your problem too, right?